Hello and welcome to the first episode for the Ears to the Parks podcast. I'm your host, Gary. Well, one of your hosts at least anyway. We do have a number of hosts that are going to be joining us throughout the episodes of these podcasts. A few of which we have here today. We have Jenny, Tom, and Stevie with us. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hiya.
Hey guys, all good.
Hello.
Good, that's what I like to hear. And we're going to be covering quite a few things in today's episode. A great way to start the entire series off. We're going to be delving into some of the seasonal events that are happening over at Walt Disney World and beyond, really. Now, as you know, the festivals have been running at Walt Disney World and the parks for a long time now. Like, I did a quick research just before this today, earlier on, and I'm not sure if this is one of the earliest things, but I came across something called World Fest, which was introduced in September 1984, which was also at the exact same time as the Morocco Pavilion opened. And basically, this was a festival for the countries at World Showcase, which celebrated things like food, music, entertainment from the corresponding countries as well. And it rotated each and every month to celebrate one of the countries in World Showcase. I don't know if you guys have heard about this before or not. I've only just found out about that today, just from looking into it.
Yeah, that's pretty new to me. I'd never heard of that one coming out before. I'd always assumed it pretty much started with the Epcot festival, sort of with food and wine and flower and garden, etc.
Yeah, no, the flower and garden, food and wine came in a little bit later on. I have down here, the Flower and Garden Festival started first in 1994, so it was a little bit afterwards, followed by Food and Wine Festival in 1996, which, from what I've seen, followed on from something they had at Disney Springs that started in 1981, just called the Wine Festival. I mean, that sounds...
When did the food come in?
The food part started when it was transferred over to Epcot in 1996. So it moved from the Wine Festival to then the Food and Wine Festival.
And that's strange. It's basically now become probably the most of the popular festivals, I think, that run at Epcot at the minute, and it's one of the latest ones to have been added in.
I was going to say as well, because I kind of always assumed Food and Wine was like the originator of all the Epcot festivals, and obviously didn't start them all.
Well, originally with the World Fest that I spotted, the reason that was brought in was because Epcot wasn't really doing so well, and they was trying to change it up for the locals and everyone that wanted to repeat, a reason to come back, basically, which wasn't really happening. Once you've gone around the World Showcase and seen everything there is to it, you know how it is. It becomes a little monotonous. But the funny thing that I found about the World Fest when I was looking into it is every month they dedicated the festival to one of the World Showcase countries. And at the time, every country there got a month. I've got it down on my notes here. I've got down October it was Germany, November Italy, December it was the UK. We got Christmas. January was China, February was Canada, March was France, April Japan, May was Mexico, and then June, July, and August was the USA. A celebration to all countries, but mostly USA.
Yeah, 3 whole months for the USA. I'd be interested in what they did for the UK, because it's just mostly beige food.
I mean, Sam Eagle would be proud of that anyway, wouldn't he? Let's be honest.
Probably just give us tea and crumpets. But yeah, since introducing the Flower and Garden Festival, the Food and Wine Festival, we've also had different festivals included in Epcot since then, such as the Festival of the Arts, which has one of the most popular acronyms, and Festival of Holidays. We're going to start off at least by looking at the Food and Wine Festival, I believe, this year.
Yes.
Excellent. Now, I haven't really looked too much into the food and wine this year. So the first thing that caught my eye, which is probably not related at all and probably nobody cares, And I know that we spoke about this before in a test episode, that it was this year is sponsored by a company called Corksicle, which I had never heard of before. So
Yeah, like the flasks.
That's right. Yeah, I imagined it was like an icicle cork that kept your drink cool, but apparently not. No. Yeah, you're right. So the flasks, coolers, tumblers, etc.
Yeah, it was one of the weirdest parts of the event as well. Like, because I was there during it in September, and just seeing all this sponsored by Corksicle around, but I don't think there was any real mention of who they were. You know, there was not much branded merch, or any. I think the Apple Orchard booth may have been specifically sponsored by them, but other than that, it was an odd sponsorship.
I know Disney have done other partnerships with them though, because I saw at like the most recent Run Disney, the Princess Marathons, they had princess themed corkscrews that were very cool.
Now that I've got it in my head, it's like a freezable cork. That's all I can keep imagining.
You might have to patent that if this goes out to the public. Someone's going to steal that amazing idea from you.
I think it already exists, so it's probably already been beaten to it, which is probably why it popped into my head.
I mean, is there much of a market for a cold bottle neck of wine?
I mean,
no one wants warm wine.
That would make more sense with the whole food and wine festival as well.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that is true. Now, I'm not really entirely sure how many new booths are added for food and wine each year. I know that last year they had a total of 29 booths, and I couldn't really find which new additions there were.
Yeah, they tend to sort of sit around the 30 booth mark, sort of 28 to 32, depending on the festivals. In the past, I believe they don't change them out all that often. Really, they may change a group of 3 or 4 of them, but normally there's some pretty mainstays throughout most of the festivals, actually.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I know that they do have new additions every now and then. I have been to a couple of the food and wine festivals myself, but I've never really spent the time to go around everywhere and look or try everything, which I probably should the next time I'm there. But yeah, usually I just grab 1 or 2 things that take my fancy, and yeah, I don't really take it all in, because again, it can be quite expensive as well to try every single thing out.
Yeah, I'll not divulge how much money I've spent on the 2 festivals over the years. It's not good.
Now, there's not too much information on the food and wine for this year as of yet. But looking back at last year's event, there was a few things other than food and wine that also take place at the Food and Wine Festival. Activities such as the Remy's Ratatouille hide and squeak scavenger hunt that they had there last year. Which, if you're unaware, you basically get a little card, have to do a scavenger hunt, and look for little Remy statuettes hidden around the park. And once you've found all of those, and put your stickers in your book, you can take it back to the star, and you get a prize. And last year they was given like lenticular cups out. Which is pretty cool, and that cost $9.99. So I guess if you've got young ones as well, to keep them occupied as you're filling your cup around the world. And they also had a limited Halloween, similar kind of thing, activity called Pluto's Pumpkin Pursuit. The same kind of thing. You go around the World Showcase, finding which part does it. Which I'm trying to see if I put what we have to find on this one. I'm not entirely sure. There's like hidden things. I don't know if Pluto's hidden around World Showcase, maybe. But then you stick your stickers into a sticker book, and for that one, the prize was like a trick or treat pumpkin, I think it was, bucket. And again, that was $9.99 as well. So there's one of many things, I guess, catered towards the children rather than just mainly the alcohol for the adults.
I really like the scavenger hunts that they have at Epcot. I feel like, I mean, this is going to show how long it's been since I've been, but I think it was Kim Possible when we went. But it turned like a couple of hours in the park to like hours and hours just going around and like scouring each of the different World Showcase pavilions. But yeah, I think they're really fun.
And I did last year's Flower and Garden scavenger hunt, and I found like the price that you'd pay for the gift you get at the end works out almost cheaper than what Disney would actually put it on sale for, because they were giving away like little Tupperware tubs with the mascots of the festival on, and they would have
not much
upcharged them. So yeah, although they did give my brother his when he bought the map, and I had to go round and find
They made you work for it
to get mine.
It is expensive. I think it's more about the friends you make along the way rather than the gift that you get at the end. But yeah, what was it, nearly a tenner. That's a lot, especially if you want to get multiple for multiple children, because they can't share one toy at the end. I would have kicked off as a child. I wanted my own.
But there is also a scavenger hunt for the adults as well. I didn't actually put the price down for this one, but there's a scavenger hunt called Emil's Fromage Montage, which gives you a selection of various food items from around the festival, and you have to collect 5 of 10. Go on, Tom.
Yeah, this one I don't think you actually have to pay for. It's more that it's all these cheese-based foods from all the different booths.
That's right, yeah.
So they list them all in your festival passport, and then, like you said, as you go around, and you have to buy each individual item to try out, and then once you've got so many, you go back to the centre and get your little prize from that.
Exactly, that's the exact one I was talking about. Yeah, and last year's prize was a strawberry cheesecake soft serve with a piece of cheesecake on top, served in a souvenir cup.
Sounds fun. I don't know how much I'm going to want to eat that after I've eaten so much cheese. But
the good thing about that is that I spotted you don't have to do it all in one day. You can do it over multiple days. So
you're right. No one's forcing you to also eat the cheese as well.
Just buy the cheese.
You could just buy the cheese.
But at about $8 a pop, that's going to add up quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good one for locals, because if you can like do it across the length of the festival, then that works out quite nice.
I mean, speaking about the length of the festival, it is quite a long one as well. Because it usually starts around July time and goes on towards November. So you've got quite a while to experience. Well, if you're there for that long, us being Brits, only get 2 weeks or so. It's got to squeeze it all into the time that you have. But if you're there local, or you can get there more than once in that time, then you have a long time to do it and experience it all.
It's one of those that even only going back sort of 4 or 5 years ago, it was only starting maybe end of August. It was a couple of months thing, but it just seems to be now the case where they pretty much want a festival running at Epcot year round, and all of them have just been getting earlier and earlier, and just really pushing that to a point where are they actually even that special anymore?
It feels like arts had barely ended when Flower and Garden started this year. Like they merged into a weird kind of combo, and it like that kind of anticipation for the next festival felt lacking a little.
I get that. Yeah. I'm sort of okay with a rotating. There's sort of a festival on at any one time. Then again, I also feel like you can never have enough food, wine, and cheese scavenger hunts. So as long as that's just it just keeps going, that's fine with me. The seasonal events I don't want to run for very long at all. Like the Christmas events and stuff. But the festivals I'm alright with. I feel like they've started doing that more at UK parks as well, which is they'll always try and have something on at any one time. So I don't know if like anyone's recently been to Towers or Thorpe, they'll have like Mardi Gras on all spring.
Yeah, Towers as well. I've been doing a lot of like Oktoberfest, and that goes straight into some
Halloween
food festival. Yeah,
but I think with having something going all the time, like it brings us back to the original festival that we was talking about earlier on. There's something to bring people back. Like a lot of people specifically go for these festivals and events, whereas they might not go if that wasn't the case and it wasn't happening. So having these events happening pretty much all year round, it's almost like a guarantee that they're going to get certain people back, and the people that aren't going for the events, they're going to go anyway. So
I mean, the great events to go to is just when they are on all year round, do they start detracting from the World Showcase itself? Are people more focused on going to the booths just to get the next hot fix rather than actually exploring the pavilions and what they have to offer? Because the amount of times, you can explore, for example, Morocco or France, and if you really get deep into those pavilions, there's just places that you just never really seen before. And with all these festival booths being so close to the waterfront, I think the pavilions just get left behind a little bit.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think at least with food and wine, it definitely complements World Showcase in the idea of being able to shine a spotlight on lots of different cultures that aren't included in the World Showcase anyway. And that whole ethos of culture sharing is definitely reflected in that festival, but maybe less so in the other festivals throughout the year.
Yeah, that is true, because so many people go to Epcot and walk straight through pavilions and don't even know that there's anything back there anyway. So I guess if there's all these booths scattered around, they just see it and go, oh, that's it, and just move on to the next one, which is quite sad. There's some really cool places, like Tom was saying, in the pavilions as well, that I've probably honestly not even fully explored yet. So
I don't know as well if from any of the festivals you guys may have been to, whether you think the food is actually worth it. I mean, there's some absolute standout dishes that I've had in the past, but I think a lot of it as well is what I'd call Instagram food. So it's there to have the picture taken. It looks great, but then actually when you delve into it, it's, I'm not saying it's terrible, but is it worth $9-10 for these bite-sized portions of food you're getting?
Yeah. And especially when you have to go around, and again, like you say, they're bite-sized, they're snacks, if anything. They're not a full meal. And I have the cheapest and most expensive options that I found from the menu last year out here. And one of the cheapest thing on the menu from the festival that you can get is the maple cheesecake. Well, was the maple cheesecake from the refreshment pool, coming in at $4.50. Now that's classed as a dessert, I guess, so I kind of put a main on there as well. And the next one up was the Canadian cheddar and bacon soup with pretzel roll from Canada, which is a very, very popular one, which came in at $5.75. Weirdly, because that is so popular, I thought they would have upped the price on that at some point. And the most expensive thing that I spotted on there, food-wise at least, was the braised beef poutine, once again from Refreshment Pool. Of all places, they could put the most expensive thing, they put it in Refreshment Pool.
I think it helps with that being a more semi-permanent structure. I guess they've probably got a bit more infrastructure in there to be able to put some of the more popular and labour-intensive dishes out.
Yeah, that is true, actually, yeah. But when you're looking, say an average of, I don't know, $7, $8 per dish, and again, these are snacks. They're not full meals, and you could easily go around and eat, I don't know, 6, 7 of them.
Easily.
And that's going to set you back $50-ish.
It is like small plates at main meal prices. The most expensive tapas you'll ever eat is at Epcot.
I mean,
That's not in Pavilion.
The hot tip always used to be back in the dining plan days to use your snack credits for them, because nearly every dish on the festival booths was snack credit available, and obviously it's long since gone, and no one really knows if it's ever going to come back. I think most people are pretty doubtful, but that was a really great tip for back in the day. But now, like I said, it can cost at least $60-$70 just in your food and wine festival day.
Yeah, and then if you're drinking as well, you got to add the drinks on, and that's a heck of a lot more. Got the most expensive drinks they had on the menu. I don't think I actually put the cheapest ones. I couldn't find it. But the most expensive drinks they had there, I mean, for Disney, it wasn't too bad. It was a mimosa flight from Shimmer and Sips, which cost $14. Again, that was a flight, so you do get 3 variations of drink with it. So I added the next one, which is also for $14, which was from China, called Fireworks, which is like a tequila and vodka-based drink.
That was worth it. That was definitely worth it. I mean, America are relatively well known for free pouring anyway, and you definitely felt like you got a good hit of alcohol after that drink.
But I feel it's one of those things, like, you can either split your money, get a few drinks and a few things to eat, or go one way or the other, spend all your money on food or all your money on drinks. I know a lot of people spend it all on drinks anyway, going around Epcot, which can get expensive just on that. So never mind with 29 other pavilions to buy from.
Something I was always told, if you are going there on a budget, is preload a gift card. They have special festival gift cards. Load that up with whatever you're wanting to spend for that day, and then when it's gone, it's gone. You've got a bit of a limit set for you there.
We did that at Aaron Garden. We kind of budgeted how much we'd want to spend on food and got 2 and kind of split them across our group.
Yeah, and with that you can get
sensible.
You can get the cool little wristbands as well, can't you?
Yeah, I was gutted because they'd already sold out of Orange Bird ones, but Spike the Bee did compensate.
The collection failed to grow.
One thing we're not mentioned yet from the festival is the Eat the Beat, which I feel can be quite often missed or just bypassed as, like a side show, if you will.
Yeah, it's one of those where it was never something I really ever had on my radar when I'd been going. It's very, very dependent on what days you're going to be there. You can really get some, just some acts that you have no idea who they are, what's going on. But then they really do get some big names in as well, or, big for what you'd expect at a Disney food festival. So in the past couple of years, they've had Smash Mouth, Boys to Men, always making a return there. Billy Ocean, Tiffany. They do get some names through the years.
It definitely feels like another added thing for locals because a lot of the acts only do one night, so it's not like you're going to get international guests booking a whole trip around an artist, but it may encourage locals to come back multiple times throughout the festival and get like extra drinks and whatever.
Yeah, for me, I feel it's definitely names that you know of and you've heard before and you know their songs, and you hear them on the radio, but it kind of also feels like artists that are past their prime and are just needing work.
Yeah, it's like Epcot's version of I'm a Celeb. Stick on the stage.
Yeah, when I see Tiffany on the lineup, I'm like, well, once she's sung I Think We're Alone Now, what's she going to do for the rest of the set?
She, on repeat.
She's just going to be alone in the corner.
Extended edition.
No, it's one of those things that I've never actually made an effort to sit down and go to though, because all the artists I see there is either someone that you kind of know and you'd like to see, but then there's a 2-hour wait to line up to get in, to get seats, and then other artists are just somebody that it doesn't really get my attention, that makes me want to go and sit and watch through the entire thing to see them.
Yeah, I think if you time it right as well, so often you can just be passing by and just sort of catch a little bit of the performance on your way through World Showcase, and in that case, you just catch what you want, move on, and you, like you say, you've not got that wait to get into the amphitheatre. You're not stuck missing out on the rest of the day for however long.
Yeah, because it's still an open theatre. It's not blocked off. It's not a huge theatre anyway, so you could walk past as you're walking through the US and still catch them and see it. You could stand right at the back and catch the entire show, so you don't have to wait in line. Or you could just, again, watch it as you're strolling by. Take a steady, slow walk and catch a song or two.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about having live music at a theme park, is I've never sat down for a whole set and factored that into my day. But as I'm like walking past and I can hear live music, I've always very much appreciated that it's there. And I think I've always said out loud, oh, that's nice that they've got someone singing a song over there. It's just like adds to the ambience of just being somewhere.
I thought you were going to say, oh, that's nice, they've got karaoke and letting some random person sing.
I don't know, that's nice. They've got Smash Mouth up there just doing Shrek songs.
I actually came across a TikTok vibe last night and Smash Mouth was on play, and I was like, oh, that is Shrek in Epcot.
It feels like it should be wrong, but I think it works. They can't play anything else. No one else knows anything else that they've ever done.
Smash Mouth will work wherever they go.
All right, I feel like we should be good and to move on to the next event on our agenda, which we have down as Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Have any of you guys been to the parties yet?
No, it was one of the things on my 2020 agenda, so it hasn't happened, but it's the one thing I am like really desperate to do.
Did you have a costume in mind?
And we were thinking of some kind of, because it was a group, we were going to do like the Good Fairies from Sleeping Beauty.
Nice. Group costumes always go down well.
Yeah.
Stevie, Tom, have you guys been to the Halloween party before?
Not me. I've watched many a video from it though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm basing all of my factual knowledge on for this podcast episode.
I've managed to hit a couple up in the last couple of years, sort of since they had a little bit of a refresh of it all. So the new fireworks and the new parade floats. So I've been since that twice. Never got to see Hallowishes, apart from the many YouTube videos.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times myself as well, and I can honestly say it's one of the best parties out there, one of the best events for me at least, because I'm a big Halloween person. So having a Disney-fied Halloween is great, and I love it so much.
I mean, you guys at home aren't like gonna know about this, but Gary recently shared with us the Jack Sparrow costume he went with a couple of years ago, and let me tell you, this guy can cosplay.
if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. I don't like to
you
just come in halfway, we'll say.
Did you practice your Jack Sparrow impression for the occasion?
I definitely. I'll say one thing. I wasn't out of character all night. I couldn't talk in my normal voice. I couldn't walk straight. And that wasn't what I was thinking. That was just because
I was going to say, how much rum did you have to get in character?
No, like I told you guys, I ended up with blisters at the end of the night from, well, the boots I had was a little too big, and I was doing the drunken Jack walk, so yeah.
You Jack Sparrowed too hard.
I don't know if that's possible,
never
really.
go full Jack Sparrow.
Never go full Jack.
Yeah, with the parties now, I mean, for me, I like that it starts early. It started, well, a few years ago, I can remember when it started at the start of September, and now it's mid-August that it starts. When I was, again, apologise, because you probably hear me say this, I don't know how many times during these podcast episodes, but once you've worked there, you have to tell everyone. When I worked there in 2018, I took part in one of Disney International programs.
One time at Disney.
And my program ended on, I'm trying to think now, like the 18th of August. And we missed out on working the Halloween parties because of that, because it didn't start until like a week later. The next year, the Halloween parties started like a week before we finished. So that's pushing them by like a week or two every single year. And I'm not complaining because, hey, it's a Halloween party and you can go, you don't have to go at one of the busiest times to experience it. You can go a month or two before even, and still get the same experience as you would going on Halloween.
I think one of the good things as well is that it's that time that you can go in your full decked out costume. You know, all the cast members are really like supportive about it all. They'll all interact with you so well. I went as Vision from the old school WandaVision Vision this year.
Nice.
So last year, and going through the Monsters Inc. laugh floor, their layover of Halloween, getting picked out for that. It was quite a funny experience. And then comparing the cape with Elvis Stitch was great fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so much to do at these parties that you wouldn't get any other time. Like you say, the parade is completely different. We have the Boo to You parade, which I absolutely adore, and I feel it's one of the best parades they have, even over Christmas.
I think everyone knows as well, like, that parade is made entirely by the Haunted Mansion Gravediggers. That is both them, and if you're lucky enough to be there on a calm night and you get the ride of the Headless Horseman.
Yeah, I mean, I know there was an incident with Headless Horseman a while back now, which is why he doesn't gallop through the park anymore, sadly, because that looked so cool when he was galloping.
What was that?
Park. Oh, it was a wet evening, and the horse took a turn a bit too harsh, and
okay, yeah,
didn't stay upright, unfortunately.
He still rode last year's party.
Yes, they I believe they just trot through the park
like
now.
Halfway through. Okay.
I am on and offside work in PR and was quite impressed by the way you just explained how the horse fell over by saying he was no longer upright, unfortunately.
I didn't want to sound horrible. I said, oh yeah, the horse. I like to articulate, okay?
But you're right, it is unfortunate.
Yeah, it was really, really good before, but they still keep him in the parade, which is the main thing. It wasn't okay, that's it, we're going to take him out completely now. They made alterations, they made changes, and he's still there, so.
Yeah, and now it's just two guys in a horse suit.
Yeah, they also, other than the parades, there's the Not So Spooky Spectacular, which has an amazing Jack puppet in the show as well. It's just so cool.
Yeah, I think there's always or at least before I was going, there's the worry that you have to really be front and centre to be able to see what's going on with that. But they managed to pull it off. I mean, you can't. I think you'd struggle really if you were back on Main Street, for example. But they work it very well. That pretty much if you're in the hub, you can see what's going on with Jack. Because it's a big draw for a lot of people. I mean, just to meet Jack and Sally, if you're going in the party with the ticket for the 4:00 entry, you are basically getting in line immediately so that you're not spending half your party night waiting to see them.
And I just want to say that I believe I just said Jack, but that is Jack Skellington. Well, there's some random guy named Jack with a puppet.
Thanks for clearing that up.
But yeah, speaking about waiting in line to meet the characters, Tom, you've been before. Again, you just said about getting there first thing, and to get in line pretty much straight away to meet these characters. What's like the tips and tricks that you go by when you go to the parties?
Yeah, so I mean, I'd always suggest looking. They're quite sneaky. They don't really release an official list of meet and greets and where everyone's going to be meeting. When you get the map for the event, there will be locations marked on the map for just general character meet and greets. So you do have to do a little bit of digging beforehand to make sure if there is someone you want to meet, you know where exactly they're going to be on the night. Like I say, if you want to meet Jack and Sally, the best advice I can give you is as soon as that queue opens at Main Street Theatre, get there straight away. You'll still probably be waiting about an hour, no matter how early you think you get there. But the good thing is they are one of the first characters that will start meeting in the evening. So the party officially doesn't start until 7. Usually by about 5:30, 6 o'clock, they will start meeting guests just to get through the amount of people that are going to be there. Other than that, Stitch is always a big one. And so are the Seven Dwarfs. They're normally the 3 with the biggest queue. So I'd say sort of pick 2 or 3 out that you know you're gonna want to see and make a game plan around that.
Interesting. So were Jack and Sally meeting at Main Street Theatre last year?
Yes. So as you go in to when you'd meet Minnie and Mickey, go through the big main doors, and normally straight ahead they will convert all that area into a huge queue. You'll see the main lobby queue. You'll think that's it, and even that's big. And then you go into room 2, and then you go into room 3. So it's a wait, but they are a great meet and greet.
Oh wow! The last time that I was there was meeting by the little can't remember what the word is for it now. The little pagoda kind of thing out by Liberty Square entranceway.
Yeah, I think they just realised that they'd become so popular they need the
queue was all the way out down Main Street from there. So, but now
they're too famous for that now.
For me, at least, I say if you have things that you want to do, if you want to get in line for get a place for a show, get a place for the parade or anything like that, or if you just want to go do attractions, I would say leave the trick-or-treating until later on. Because they're still going to be there. They're still going to have plenty of candy. You're not going to...
Good tip.
And usually at the end of the night, they want to empty those buckets, so they're going to fill your bags up. Yeah. And then you're not having to carry candy around all night.
Yeah, I took a pretty large backpack with me the last year, carried my costume in it through the day, got changed, and then they were giving out the reusable bags last year, which were a bit bigger than normal, and I literally just looped trick-or-treat spots over and over again because I knew I was going to get so many Snickers and I hate Snickers, so I wanted to get some good stuff. And probably about 4 trips, my top spot is always the laugh floor trick-or-treat spot. You'll go through the queue, you'll have about four people lined up with buckets at the start of the theatre, and then once you go through the layover attraction, there's another 2 people on the other side, so you're getting double dipped. And about 4 runs through that, I have a full bag and empty it into the backpack and go again, because that is what they are there for.
Yeah, that
you've got to get your money back through the candy alone.
But did you eat it all?
I made a pretty good dent in it. I learned from a mistake from the first year because I brought a lot of it home as well. And I thought, rather than take all the weight in the luggage, I'll throw it all into the hand luggage. Because, easy access. And TSA do not like that.
No?
Because it's all individually wrapped candy and it just layers on top of each other so much. We had to spread it out all into separate trays so the scanners could read it properly. So I learnt from that mistake from year 1 and put it all in the suitcase year 2.
That is a nightmare for whoever was behind you in security.
I think it was a pretty common occurrence. They were used to it by that point at TSA.
Right. Is there any other things that you guys would like to cover regarding Not So Scary? Anything that we've missed?
No, I was just looking a little bit at the allergy trails because that is my life now, and it just seems like a sadder amount of candy, which there is a good amount of chocolate I can still have, so it's just, do I risk... Which way would I end up risking it? Sad candy or candy I can't eat?
I mean, I've always thought they're pretty good with the allergen, whole allergen vibe anyway. They'll give you the separate bags. You've got your tokens that you can then go. I think there's about 3 locations in the park that you can exchange. Obviously, the only thing is, are you ever going to truly get the same amounts no matter how many times? I think the tip I've seen from everyone else would be that you make multiple stops rather than collecting all your tokens and then trading them in at the end of the night, because that way you might not quite get as much. Whether all that adds up to the price they are charging for these events at the minute, I'm not too sure. They're around about the 140 mark, depending on the night. I just don't know if the value is truly there when you consider the events that you can get elsewhere at considerably lower prices.
Yeah, and the closer that you get to Halloween as well, the pricier it gets. So it's always worth bearing in mind. Obviously, if you want to go as soon as it starts, it's probably going to be one of the cheaper tickets to go to. But then again, the past few times, the earlier dates have sold out just because they are cheaper. So something to bear in mind.
So, of course, you've got the ride layovers as well that they've started doing in the past couple of years. So I believe at the minute it's Pirates, Space Mountain, Teacups, and the Laugh Floor that have had some form of layover in one way or another. So at Laugh Floor, it's all Halloween themed. They're on. Monster comedians are on rotation all night through the party. Space Mountain, pitch black, altered soundtrack through the ride. Teacups is a bit of a weird one. I've never really gotten it, but it's always quite a popular one during the Halloween season. They've put a funky light package on, changed the music up again. And then I think the best by far is the Pirates layover. They have live actors all through the queue. And then they have about 4 or 5 places through the ride where they station a live actor as well.
See, for me, I'm still waiting for them to bring Nightmare Before Christmas to the Haunted Mansion.
I'd
Just
love
like
that.
a Disneyland. I've
I'd
never
love to
actually
see it.
I've never watched any of the videos of that either because I want to experience it in person. I had no idea if I'm ever going to get out there at Halloween at the right time.
I don't think it's something they're ever gonna move to Florida. I think someone had found that there were plans at one point or another years ago. But I think in California it goes down for about a month, doesn't it,
Yeah,
to
a month
do the
either end.
transfer? And I think because it's obviously such a iconic ride for Florida, you know, California, it makes a bit more sense because you've got more repeat local visitors. But to shut it down for so long for a temporary makeover in Florida, I just don't think makes sense for them.
No, it wouldn't be very plausible, unfortunately.
I'd love to see it, but I get why they don't do it in Florida. We'll just have to go to California instead.
Yeah, group trip. Woo. All right, are we good to move on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, because next on the agenda, we've actually moved out of Walt Disney World. I mean, it's the first episode, and we're already moving out of Walt Disney World. Jeez,
Not
what
sure
is
how I
this?
feel about that.
No, but it is for a good reason. It's one of my favorite things, and honestly, I have said many times I would fly to Florida just for this event on its own without visiting Disney parks, and that is Halloween Horror Nights.
The premier Halloween event.
It is so freaking good. I used to hate Halloween. I used to hate scary movies.
What's
Yeah,
your
this is-
favorite scary movie?
I'm
You can tell
I'm
I've just
telling you.
watched Scream recently.
But yeah, for me, this is one of the best events to go to while I'm out there, and I always try to get a trip around Halloween time just to go to Halloween Horror Nights, and obviously Mickey's Not So Scary, but mainly Halloween Horror Nights. And again, it's not open as early as Mickey's Not So Scary. I believe it's only by a couple of weeks, but it does open early. We've got down here, it opens early September time.
Yeah, usually
until-
it's that sort of the start of that second week in September. So around about the 5th to the 8th is usually that sort of time frame.
Yeah, but this one is open for longer hours as well. Like, Not So Scary, you can enter the park early, around 4 o'clock, but the event doesn't start until 7, and that runs till midnight. Whereas Halloween Horror Nights, obviously the queues are going to be a lot longer, but depending on the day, can run from like 6 p.m. until 2 a.m. So it's a long night, but it's needed because those maze queues can get huge.
They get busy.
Mm-hmm. Like, I know some of them you can wait in 3 hours just for one maze.
And there are a couple of workarounds to sort of get the most out of that, which we'll get into a little later. But yeah, I think it's not uncommon to see a 3-hour wait for the Icon House that year.
Yeah, definitely. And that's usually why I don't go for a single night ticket. If I'm going, I usually get one of the multi-night options.
Frequent fair, stuff like
Fear,
that.
Yeah, Frequent Fear Plus, something like that, because I know that it's not going to get all done in one night. Unless you go with the expense of adding the express pass onto it, but then you're looking at an extra $200 a night just for that.
Yeah,
Which
I made a bit of a big trip last year. I thought that was going to be my last trip anywhere for a while, so I splurged out a bit on it. And to be fair, the express, it definitely helps. It can be done without. I've done it all without in a one night. But if you really want to make sure you can take it at a nice steady pace, or even if you want to hit a couple of houses twice, it's great for that.
Would you get that one again, or would you rather just go for multiple nights?
It's a tough one. I think if you're limited on time, then it's definitely worth it. But I think if you've got the option to be there for a second night, I think it actually works out cheaper to do 2 nights than it does 1 night with Express. There is an option as well that they'll normally sell passes past 11 o'clock for a reduced price. I can't remember off the top of my head what the discount is on them. But I think if I was to do it again, it would probably be a 2-nighter, just so you can take it at a bit of slower pace. You've got more chance of doing things multiple times, because you can go through a house and be really unlucky on a scare actor changeover and just get very few scares in that house, and you can just be stuck with that sometimes.
I think a thing that a lot of people don't really know is, obviously, if you have tickets to Universal during the daytime, a lot of people that I've heard leave the park to re-enter the park to get in for Halloween Horror Nights. But if you have tickets and you're already in the park, you can enter one of the holding pens, and they'll put you. I can't remember the name of the pub now. Is it?
So there's a few different areas. You can
like
normally
the Irish
wait.
pub.
Yeah, Finnegan's, I think it is.
Finnegan's.
So that's the one I'd normally recommend you go to, because that's normally where the bigger houses are. So 2019, that let out into Ghostbusters. So you got a really good head start on Ghostbusters. Last year, it let out into Halloween. And normally they're the houses that will start running first as well. So you can get into those lines pretty much straight away. There's not much else you can do, so you might be sitting around for an hour or so while you wait, but what else could you really do? And you're going to be one of the first through the houses, and then you're out before any of the other houses are even open, and so it's a good way to get a really good head start on that.
Yeah, it's fine. While you're there, you can just grab a drink and prepare yourself for the evening ahead. So
start as you mean to go on.
Exactly. But apart from like the houses and mazes in there, obviously there's scare zones as well, which are areas of the park that you have to walk through. There are ways to go around it to avoid the scare zones, but majority of the time people are going to have to walk through the scare zones, which have live actors in the streets with sets, props, and everything, smoke machines, sound effects, anything that will appear in a maze inside a house would be outside on the streets. So there's lots of different things like that, and there's always food and drink as well. Again, coming back to the food and drink theming, you'll always see, I think they do nurses that walk around selling shots.
I don't recall seeing that in the last couple, but it may be something I just missed.
I know it's been quite a while since I've actually been, but they used to have nurses, or people dressed as nurses, not real nurses, not giving real shots, selling alcohol shots in the queue lines, at least, just to kind of get people hyped up, give them something to do. But there's so many different food and drink options as well. And one of the ones that I always think of when I think about this, there was a food truck when I went many, many years ago, and they did a peanut butter, jelly, and banana fried sandwich, which was dipped in batter, deep fried, topped with icing and sugar. And it sounds like a heart attack in a bite, and it was, but it was great.
I think that's become a bit of a mainstay. I'm sure I recall seeing that in past years that I've been.
Oh, if it's there, I need to go and get it again, because that was so good.
That sounds good. I feel like anything that's deep fried sounds like it's going to be kind of gross, and then you try it and you're like, no, actually, it works. Like the Mars bars that they used to sell years ago. I'm not talking about Universal right now. I'm talking about chip shops. But they used to sell them at the Chippy, and I was like, actually, that's all right.
I think it normally always leads back to the Scottish, doesn't it?
Yeah, usually deep fried. What is everyone's favourite mazes that they've had at Halloween Horror Nights?
Oh, that's a good one. I think this is where Universal gets it so right, because they just throw so much detail into these houses. Like, you know, they're building them for a good 6-7 months out of the year. So in the past ones I've done, which was Horror Nights 29 and Horror Nights 31, some of the best looking houses I've seen, Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake last year, which was just a stunning set design. You know, you walk in and you basically transformed immediately into this little fishing village. It's got a working lighthouse in there. And funnily enough, another sort of snowy one was Yeti Terror of Yukon in 2019, a couple of years ago.
That one looked really good.
Yeah, it was I think that one worked well as well, because it looked good, but then there were also the scares matched it as well. Like, I think sometimes, going back to that Ghostbusters house, they set so heavily on the IP and the theming of it, and actually the scares themselves sort of let it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's been a long time since I've actually been to the event. But they have so much IP in intellectual property inside the events now, which I don't mind one bit. But the original stories that they used to come up with were amazing, and some of the best scares and some of the best themes that I've experienced is through that. Like, who can forget Jack the Clown to start
Absolute
off?
icon.
Exactly. And I was trying to think of the name because my mind is going completely blank right now. But I think it was the Nightingale's house a long time ago. Which
they did a re-theme of that in 2019 for Nightingale's Blood Pit, a Roman-based one.
Yeah, back then it was like a war-based in the trenches kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
And that was amazing. It was one of the best ones that I've been through. There's so many others as well. Again, original ideas, houses. I'm not saying
that... Yeah, because I think the thing with IPs is you're getting a story that's been created for television or for film and trying to sandwich that into a scare maze, whereas with the original mazes, you've created a story to specifically work for a maze. So it's always gonna be more effective than when they've just been like, what's popular? Stranger Things will put that in a maze.
Yeah, exactly. Because with any kind of IP, example, Stranger Things, as you just said, they try and recreate scenes that you've seen on TV into a real life space, which is cool. And everyone loves to go through these scenes that you see on TV or in a film and experience it in person. But it doesn't add a storyline. You're just hopping from scene to scene.
Yeah.
Rather than living through a story from room to room and ending in a place like the stories led you to.
Absolutely.
I will say, seeing the Mind Flayer in that Strange Things house a couple of years ago was incredible. But yeah, it's very much that thing of a lot of jumps between what's happening, where, you know, something like the Yeti or Dead Man's Pier, because they're self-contained stories, that, you know, they're able to basically just make one short, consistent theme.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And on the idea of IP and original things, not much has been announced for this year's event as of yet, apart from, I believe, one thing so far.
Yeah, I mean, we had basically one of the earliest announcements we've ever had in Chucky, which was announced, I think, the very day it closed in last year.
Yeah, it was.
So that's obviously got people talking a bit, because there was a Chucky-themed food truck as well last year with the Child's Play burger, which was a whole sort of mess of what they put on that. I don't know how anyone could eat that. It was sort of like a donut burger covered in Fruit Loop cereal. It was weird.
Oh no.
Now, I don't keep up with the movies, those kind of movies, very well, but I'm guessing there's another new Chucky movie.
So there's the new, I think it's a new sci-fi series that's probably into its second or third season now.
Okay, so it's not exactly something new, but it's showing to be popular by the sounds of it.
Yeah, a lot of rumours as well going around that it's sort of sticking with that sort of doll theme, and a lot of rumours that Megan is going to be featured in a Blumhouse joint house, sort of like they did last year. They had Freaky and the Black Phone in a joint Blumhouse house last year. So a lot of people thinking that's going to make an appearance.
Now, I think I've said this to you guys before, but I've not seen the movie Megan yet, but it I don't know,
It's
it doesn't have a scary feel vibe to it me.
It's one of those that tries to play on the psychological horror side of things.
Yeah.
And it's not bad, but when you've seen the likes of Get Out, Us, it doesn't quite hit the same tone.
I think for me, it was in the trailer. The face is all dull and robotic, and the body's movement is just somebody wearing a mask, so it's all smooth, and it looks weird. And then halfway through the trailer, she started like dancing and twerking, and no, I couldn't take it serious from there. So I never actually saw it.
Yeah, I don't think it was meant to be like a serious horror, which, if they're rumoured to be putting it in a maze, in a joint maze, what would they put it with?
I mean, they always do have some what they call like a comedy horror house every year, so...
Killer Clowns was something else.
Has anybody else got anything to touch on with that?
So the rumours for the Blumhouse this year would be Megan and either Insidious or The Exorcist.
This makes no sense to me. I'm like, this is a funny robot dancing thing, and then you're going to put it with like Insidious.
It's a very weird vibe how they do that house, because I was a bit unsure of it last year, because I think it was the first year they did a split house. And you basically just go through two houses, but with one queue. So last year it was Freaky and the Black Phone, so you'd go through the whole Freaky storyline first. You'd completely exit the house. You'd go into this just sort of very open corridor, and then start the Black Phone. Yeah, start the Black Phone section. This makes sense.
I thought they were going to have her like Megan dancing to Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Like mash the two films together.
No, that one I'd see.
So just looking at a couple of the speculation maps this year, which, always change. The Last of Us, Evil Dead, which is interesting because that was heavily rumoured to have been a house last year. And it was a big thing last year because we got very, very late announcements. Normally there's about a house a month from April through to the event announced. And I think up until August, there were only 3 houses announced last year.
Wow.
And then one of them literally a week before the event started. And a lot of people seem to think that was meant to have been an Evil Dead house. And then for some reason, the IP got pulled and they had to change it last minute to a very generic prison house featuring all these monsters they'd had in previous years.
Interesting. I just pulled a speculation map up myself. I don't know if it's the latest one or not. But on here, I see it's showing at least Krampus come back. I don't know if you've got that one on there as well, which I've never actually seen again, but it seems like something that would be cool because I can remember one time going and they had a holiday house, so it was all of the holidays, like Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, and it was just basically people getting murdered in different various holiday scenes, which was really cool. So I've never seen Krampus, but I feel like that could be a good one to have something other than just, oh, here's a scary house. It's got like a Christmassy theme to it. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, the interesting thing as well with the speculation maps is people have started to be adding in an 11th house this year. And historically, that has always been 10, no more. But there seems to be a lot of rumours this year that they are going to be bringing that extra house, and whether that's just because they've realised the events are becoming too crowded and it's a good way to sort of take some of that pressure off some of the houses. But it would be interesting to see if that actually comes through or not.
I can see them wanting to do a bit of experimentation with it, especially with, I don't know if you'd seen that they were going to open like a space in Las Vegas, is it?
Yeah.
Like a dedicated Horror Nights.
Year-round haunt.
Year-round haunt. So I could see them start to try different things at the parks when they're thinking of what to bring over. When they're starting to think out of the box and do permanent spaces like that.
I would definitely go and visit that because on the poster for it, it seems like Jack was on there. So if he's going to be appearing in Vegas, that'll be good fun. But I swear a few years ago, I don't know if it was before the pandemic or anything, I swear there was rumours for like 11 houses a couple of years back as well. I'm not too sure if that's just me thinking there was or if there actually was. But I swear, or either that or there was an extra house that never actually appeared. But again, speculation maps. That's the whole name of the game. It's just what people are believing might happen.
And how often does the speculation turn out to be true anyway?
Normally there's some general ideas that, there's, a lot of the early speculation maps anyway have very loose ideas or themes based around them, and there's normally some truth to it. But yeah, normally they're a bit off.
Right. Is there anything else to cover on Halloween Horror Nights?
I don't think so.
I think we've covered it, just looking at the thing now.
And we are running on a little bit now as well, so... I think that should about cover it. And coming to the end of that about covers it for this episode as well. So if you managed to stick with us through this mess of a first episode, thank you and apologies. All in the same sentence. But no, hopefully we can, the more we do, the better we'll get, and things will smooth out over the episodes.
There's a lot of information to come from a lot of different people you're gonna meet.
It is, yes. Tom has been helping us by basically producing the show and giving us show notes. And I'm bouncing around these show notes like crazy, and I'm forgetting what I've read, what I haven't, which is why I keep going quiet and making a little bit awkward.
I'd just say to keep an eye out on next coming episodes. We're going to be revisiting some different events through the year in a couple of episodes. So we'll be hitting some more of the festivals, the Mickey's Christmas party. Next up, I think we should be having some quick service restaurant dives, finding the best foods that you can get a bit cheaper, a bit quicker, rather than table service. Just make sure, following us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok at Ears to the Parks. Let us know anything you're going to want to see coming up in future episodes. Hopefully we can get that covered. And yeah, just subscribe to the podcast, whatever you're listening to this from. It really helps out. hit the notification. You're gonna get those episodes as soon as we release them, and make sure you're up to date with everything we are doing.
Yeah, and if you have enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it on your socials. Share it with a friend that you might think would like to hear from us. And I'm not too sure if this is a thing, but this is what I hear a lot of podcasts doing. Make sure to rate us on Apple Podcasts. That's what everyone says, right? I don't know if that counts towards anything, but it would always help. And again, contact us on socials at Ears to the Parks, currently on Instagram and TikTok. And you can also contact us via email at contact@earstothepark, or you can contact us individually at our names. You can contact me at gary@earstotheparks.com. And if you want to introduce your email, you can do that as well.
You can contact me at Stevie@earstotheparks.com.
And you can find me at Jenny@earstotheparks.com.
And I am Tom at earstotheparks.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys for joining me on today's episode. And I look forward to the next time we're together once again. And hopefully we can fit in that trip we spoke about a little bit later on at some point. Anyway, I want to get you guys out to the parks. Mainly just so I can get a trip out there. If you can't go, that's fine. What I'm trying to say is I'm gonna book a trip to go to Disney.
And you can come if you want.
Be there, be square.
But again, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on the next episode on the Ears to the Parks podcast. Your fast pass to the magic. Take care, guys.
Thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.
See you real soon.